Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
My name is Ben Dickerson. I'm your co-host. I'm a fantasy geek, and I love everything about football.
About football. He's the fantasy guy. I'm the Madden guy, so we got a little fun running for you in the background. If you've never had an opportunity before, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you'll know when we produce our videos. We produce our videos once a week once a week, right?
Yes, sir.
That's all year long. Yes, sir. Yes. So here we go. NFL, going into week 7. We've completed week 6.
We've completed the second preseason.
Well, that was done.
We're far away from that now.
Yeah, we've moved beyond that now.
Teams are who we thought they were, and some are not who we thought they were. Everything is starting to come into clarity.
Well, there's a question about that clarity thing. Because as soon as you thought you had some clarity, you get a few bombastic trades. Now all of a sudden, like, who's who?
Absolutely.
What's what?
Absolutely. There have been some
surprises. They can't be who we thought they were because they're no longer who they were.
Because they're
somebody else now.
I'm sorry I said
it. But who they actually were is reflected in their numbers. And that's why we utilize the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings.
Absolutely.
Where we rank everything by net points. We're going to go through some information for you. We're going to talk about net points and rankings. Points scored, who's ranked there. Points against, who's ranked there. And the infamous TOD, T-O-D, turnover differential, who's ranked there. The first two, net points and TOD, are two statistics that have both a positive and a negative component. So let's say, for example, net points. Who would be the most negative in terms of net points? If you just think about it for a minute, the Dolphins. Right?
I would say so.
They've lost at a bigger clip than anybody over that period, over the last 6 weeks. So their accumulated net points are well into the negative. And so we're going to talk about things from a slightly different perspective. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our top 5 based on the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus report. The Bias Plus report, again, is that report that we put out. We'll talk about it later in the show. That compares the net points of 2 teams who are going to play each other. And we'll talk about that. But the Bias Plus, being that difference in net point, the plus comes from the turnover differential. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Todd. Todd's one of my favorite people. Love Todd because when you watch who's got the high Todd, sometimes it's surprising, sometimes not. Let's look at number 5. Panthers with +6. As a matter of fact, there's a 3-way tie at +6. Again, turnover differential, one of those statistics that you have both a positive and a negative in terms of that statistic. So again, using the poor downtrodden Dolphins, if you're looking at turnover differential, they are ranked 32nd at -9. So they're on the complete opposite spectrum of the number 1 Patriots. The Steelers at
only
7.
-9. I'm just thought it would be more than that, but
which is obviously a lot. Now, the Steelers have the 49ers skew. We started to use the term skew, and I said I'm going to have to name the skews here because there's different skews. Like the Dolphins skew is a whole different skew. But when I say the 49ers skew, the Steelers took 5 turnovers in one game from the 49ers.
Correct. So
I'm sitting there at +7. That means that at game 6, the other 5 games, they only had 2 turnovers. So, sometimes the gross numbers can be slightly misleading, but that's what we're here for. Bears obviously are a team that, you would expect to be strong.
Yes.
Seahawks, kind of sort of the same thing. Panthers, a little bit of maybe a surprise. What do you think?
No, well, I'm not surprised. I thought the Panthers would be a pretty good defense in being able to. If there's any surprise, it's the fact that I'm sorry, I'm talking crazy. This is what I was going to say, so you understand why I'm going through what I'm going through.
Yes, explain this to us.
Because I thought the Panthers defense was going to be no less than middle of the road, and probably on the positive side is one of the better defenses.
They got Luke Kuechly.
Exactly. They have a good defense, which means that I would expect them to get a decent number of turnovers, or at least be on the positive side, because tied is the number of takeaways as opposed to the number of giveaways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then I was going to say it's a little surprising because the Panthers have been known to give the ball away. However, guess what? We've been 4 games without Cam Newton. So, young Kyle Allen, good for him, has not been giving the ball away. He's been taking care of the ball. He's not throwing a lot of interceptions. He's not getting stripped and sacked and fumbling. And that's a good thing. Meanwhile, the defense is doing their thing. And thus, they find themselves at number 5 and tied.
Interesting. Good point. Good point. I hadn't really, put it together like that, but you're absolutely right. And now we have Cam.
He'll be coming back soon.
Well, he's trying to.
Yeah.
There's a question.
That's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation. We may be able to talk about that later.
Yes. All right. Next, we have PA points against. Top 5 defensively. You can move the ball. When we played, we used to say we're bend, but we don't break.
Exactly.
We wasn't giving up the points.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. Titans in 5th place with 92 points given up through 6 games.
As poorly as they have played offensively, they make you struggle to score on them.
Bills, your call early in the season.
Bona fide defense. Coming off a bye, so their numbers are a little low. They're going to jump higher.
Bears.
We expected them to be in here.
You expected them to be here, but what was I saying to you? What was it? They played in England?
Yeah.
And I kept seeing Matt getting trucked. I think they lost that game, too.
Yeah. Well, again, when we go points against, it's strictly the amount of points that the defense gives up.
Total.
But it doesn't really give you a clear indication of what that defense is good at or not. So if there's something they're not good at, it starts to show itself as we go on in the season. The better overall defenses will rise to the top. The Bears have been strong against teams who maybe fell behind and had to throw the ball on them a lot, or teams that didn't have good run defenses. But now, teams that didn't run the ball well. But now teams that are running the ball well are coming up on their schedule, and it's starting to show.
The other thing that's starting to show now is coaches' capabilities.
That too.
Because last week we started to say, things like, did the coach see something there?
Right.
You know what I mean? 2nd place. I'm sorry. We put the hand over the heart. My San Francisco 49ers. The funny thing again about the net points, I can't do anything about that. My 49ers have been at the bottom of the rankings. So it is what it is with these numbers. They just are what they are. So I'm really happy to see them there. Their defense, especially having just played the Rams. You could say that we might have influenced the Rams to do what they just did. Should we talk about the trade? Or no, we'll wait.
We'll talk about that later.
Let's talk about number 1. Well, if you want to say something about my Niners.
All I was going to say was, we could talk about number 1 all day. I said the same thing last week about the Patriots defense. They're without a doubt, in my mind, the best defense in the NFL as we speak. And they've pretty much been that way from game 1. But I do really believe, and I think I said this also last week or the week before, the 49ers are the real deal. The win over the Rams was pretty impressive to me. Some other folks may say, it wasn't so impressive. No Gurley. They had no running game. Goff's throwing the ball all over the place. They're looking shaky. Yeah, they didn't look like the Rams that were just in the Super Bowl. But the 49ers defense, that's the real deal. They're serious. They got something going on over there, and I expect them to remain in the points against top 5 for the rest of the season.
Excellent, excellent. Now, the other part of the equation has to do with scoring.
Yes, sir.
Points for Panthers.
Surprise, surprise. Here's your surprise. Without Cam.
Without Cam. Panthers. So you're top 5 in scoring without Cam.
Right.
You're the coach now, Mr. Dickerson of the Carolina Panthers. What do?
You want to talk about this now? You don't want to talk about this now.
Why not? What else are we going to talk about?
Okay. Strictly what you said. I am the coach
You are
of the
coach.
Carolina Panthers.
Yes, you are.
Lots and lots of people will disagree with me, but I will tell you real fast. Cam about to go on the market. Cam about to go on the market. I'm going to ride Kyle Allen out. Kyle Allen and my defense, I'm going to ride them out. I'm going to try to get me a nice first-round pick positioning, whether I have to. I don't know where they're going to end up picking in the first round. I'm going to pick a quarterback first because there's some good ones coming out. And I'm going to let him compete with Kyle Allen for the job. And I should be able to get me some extra picks and maybe a lineman or a D-back or something else that I need on my team by trading Cam to somebody else. We go on now. That's what I would do.
The funny thing, listening to media talking about, Cam shouldn't lose his job like that. I've actually heard one guy say, and if he comes back, that he needs to let Cam be Cam and let him run around.
That's what got him where he is.
You know what I'm saying?
That was dumb. Who said that?
I'm not going to
Okay.
remember anyways. Whoever it was, I heard him say it, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going, that's dumb. That don't make sense.
Yeah,
But again, philosophically, I'm about the mobile quarterback who can run, but not, I'm still not even, I'm still questioning the running of number 2, but let's not skip over number 3 first, okay? Now, this is, again, a team who I said they look like the Buccaneers of old.
Right.
Scoring, they're putting points up.
Yep.
You jinxed.
I sure did.
You jinxed the hell out of James.
I said the difference was he wasn't turning over the ball like he was.
He went
The
crazy.
defense still wasn't really stopping anybody, so they're only going to be as good as they're going to be. But it looked like Jameis had become the guy that we've been hoping he would become, the guy that could light up the scoreboard and not give the ball to the other team. And sure enough, as soon as I said it, he throws 3.
We talked about the defense, right?
Yeah.
I remember I said I like to look at the neighborhood that this defense.
Oh, God.
Let
Where
me-
are they?
Let's talk about some of the neighbors of the Buccaneer defense before I tell you what they're ranked, okay? We're going to go down. Washington, the team that needs to change their name. The Cardinals. The Dolphins. They're below the Dolphins.
The Buccaneers are below the Dolphins?
The Dolphins on
And what
defense
are we looking at?
are
Points against?
points against.
Oh,
The
God.
Dolphins are 30th. The Buccaneers are 31st. And your Falcons are 32nd. They've given up. Falcons gave up 186 points so far. The Buccaneers 185. The Dolphins 180. That's the neighborhood for that defense.
The Falcons have been in some shootouts, though. At least they kind of were hanging in games before they
So is the Buccaneers. That's the problem. They're in
yeah,
shootouts.
yeah.
It's only a shootout if you're giving up a bunch of points.
Yeah, that's true, but it doesn't help when you turn the ball over 3 times.
Oh, absolutely
You're
not.
making your poor defense even worse off.
Buccaneers, 21st in turnover differential with -2. Their neighbors are the Broncos, the Washington team that needs to change their name. The Bills are on the negative side of turnovers with -3. That's probably one of their
A
challenges.
little fumbling issue.
The neighborhood for -3 also includes the Cowboys and the Rams.
In fact, I think that's a Patriots skew for them, if I'm not mistaken. Patriots game is the only game they really didn't play well.
They got a turnover in their favor, though. Bills.
In that game?
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was in the end zone. Brady threw an interception in the end
Yeah,
zone.
but how
which
many
he
times did they
hardly
get?
ever does.
But how many times did they get the Patriots the ball?
Well, I'm just saying. They did have at least one. I saw
think that's
that much I can tell you for sure.
All right, well,
They had just one, buddy.
they're that low. They got some things to work on.
Some things.
Luckily, they keep other teams out of the end zone. So
the Ravens, 184 points they put up, second only to the Patriots at 190. Now you'll notice my Niners are not in that top 5, and so they're
nor should they be.
Well, it would be nice. I wouldn't mind it. They're
sure
actually 12th. Their neighbors are one side right below them, the Packers at 142, and right above them, the Vikings at 150.
Okay, all 3 of those teams you just named, the Niners, the Vikings, and the Packers, are not lighting up the scoreboard.
That's right. That's right. But we are lighting up the rushing yardage and the time of possession.
So you like the way they're playing? All 3 teams.
Well,
and you're right. Those things all stand for all 3 of those teams.
Let's put it this way. The funny thing is, 2 of those teams, you might question the quarterback a little bit.
Okay.
Well, you might question Garoppolo.
I know you
might question
A-Rod.
No, it's not that I love A-Rod.
Discount,
I'm just
double
saying,
check, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is Mr. Rogers. You want to question Garoppolo? You need a couple more. You need to see a couple more games before you're really impressed. They're coming.
This was interesting.
Mr. Cousins, he showed a little something.
What he showed is if your defense stinks, he can light you up. That's what he showed.
I didn't say it. He said it.
That's what I said. I said it. I actually said it. All right, so Patriots. Everybody worry about the damn offense.
Why? Who's worried?
I'm hearing everybody on the media talking about the offense. Oh, they don't have this. They're all like on their knees talking about, is Gronk going to come back?
That's a valid question.
They're even talking
I'm not
about
worried.
that they still actually want AB. It's amazing when you listen to what's on.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, I think that because they're saying the Patriots are in that ultimate quest to win and make their team better. So whatever it is that they think can make their team better, even if they're already number one, they're going to try to do it. That's kind of how they are. Is what they've kind of.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
I ain't mad at that.
Sure.
I don't know if bringing AB back. Well, he played well, but he is an ultimate distraction. And Gronk, apparently he kind of joked around a little bit about whether he would come back, and and even the owner said, well, he hasn't signed his retirement papers yet, but then, you start to hear this about, how much suffering he did, not just physically, but mentally, from everything. And then why would he come back from that? Chris Carter said he tried to come back and said, damn, it killed him. He said he wound up in the hospital.
Yeah.
You can't just come back.
No, it's not like you just decide, you know what, I think I want to come back. I'm sure it hasn't been easy for Jason Witten.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, he
was only out a year, but.
Yeah, but he's a shell of himself if you really watch him.
Think so?
Yeah.
He's had a few good catches. He's probably in
the hands are the last thing to go.
It might be true.
He ain't running those spectacular routes. It's like, oh, quick, throw to me.
Well, again.
Believe me, they fit him in the offense where they need him, where he can help them.
Yeah.
And he's helping them. So it's all good.
All right.
It's all good.
So, once you've looked at Todd, then you've looked at points against. Then you looked at points for. Let's do the math. Net points, that difference between points for and points against. And let's see who's who.
Okay.
Right? So this is who's really getting it done right now at the top of the leaderboard. Again, you've got the Cowboys. I mean, this is a team that they're talking about is, the coach on the hot seat, is Dak, on the hot seat.
Right.
You know what I mean? The contract scenario, all that kind of stuff. So there's so much controversy. And then they have a division game this week, which we'll talk about in the Bias Plus report later on, which is based on net points. Again, the difference. So when we talked about bias points, for example, let me just say, if the Cowboys were to play the Ravens, okay, the difference in net points is 5. the Ravens would be favored by a bias score of 5. And then we'd add the differential in for the bias plus.
Turnovers, sure.
So again, just to help people understand, it's not rocket science,
no.
but we are looking at what they've actually done and trying to discern some information from that. I call it a lagging indicator, but an indicator nonetheless, and a good place to start when you're looking at, these teams to kind of know who they actually are, not who they think, And again, there's some skew in there, That's probably helping the Patriots because they played the Dolphins. That's the Dolphins skew. People get to run up the score.
Everybody on this list played the Dolphins.
Yeah, everybody did, didn't they? So I guess that there's the Patriots are still the Patriots.
Skew's starting to go away, but the Patriots are the Patriots. First of all, they're number one. They're the only triple digit
first
entry. And it's a big look at the difference between number 1 and number 2. And the Niners are on the rise. They've hopped over the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Vikings in the recent weeks. So what does that tell you about the difference between the Patriots and guys that have been around, like the Ravens, with the Miami speed because they played them early?
Back their tight end that they had just cut.
Ben Watson.
Yes. Ben Watson. Yeah, just brought him back. So that is your top 5 in net points. Just for and giggles, let's look at all 32 teams. Now, that might be a little difficult for you to see. If you get a chance on Facebook, you can blow that up. Matter of fact, let me see if I can blow that up a little bit more. There you go.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. So, again, we talked about the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, ranking all 32 teams by net points. You have both a positive and a negative aspect to this ranking. And you have the polar opposites there, with number 1 being the Patriots at about a little under 150. What do we say they were? 142.
Yeah.
And then you look on the polar opposite, and you have your Dolphins at minus 138. So, again,
they're almost as bad as the Patriots are good.
I know.
It's terrible.
It's like opposite universes or something like that.
Real close.
Right in the middle, at net point 0, you'll see the Broncos. Net point 0.
Yeah, so these teams that are hoovering around the middle, think about it. Broncos just had a big win, didn't they? This weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. Right above them, you got the Lions, who have been scaring the bejesus out of teams. Okay. Lions. The Chargers, who look like they were going to be really good, but they're kind of faltering a little bit. So you'd expect them to be higher, but they've fallen down some.
Right in the middle at 16th with a net
and then on the other side,
2.
Right on the other side of the Broncos, what is that? The Rams?
The Rams.
What the heck are they doing down there?
What are the Rams doing? Well, they played the Niners.
Right. And
then you have the Colts. Points up.
So my thing is, all those teams 2 or 3 below and 2 or 3 above the Broncos, who are sitting right at 0.
Or what I would call the neighborhood.
Right. They're all teams to watch. They're not dead yet.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But we could be watching them die, or we can be watching them rise.
Well, let me ask you a question. Here's 2 teams. Would you say they're already dead relative to net points? That's the Raiders at 24 with minus 20, and the Browns. Oh, no, the Jaguars. The Browns are even lower. They're 26 or 25th with negative 34 net points. Jaguars are negative 14. So we're 6 games in. I don't see any of these teams. And again, I'm starting at the Super Bowl. So
okay.
No. Well,
let's say
when you're down, anything below the Buccaneers right now. The Buccaneers are 22nd. And that lets the Steelers and the Colts off the hook and the Rams off the hook.
So wait a minute, there's 32 teams, right?
Uh-huh.
So middle of the road is 16, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's start there and say, who do we think possibly that's below 16 has a chance to make it to 16 or above?
If you want. Take a look right there.
You
know? So again, I'm looking at those that are
I would
just
say
slightly
the Lions,
below.
the Broncos, the Rams, the Colts.
Right, just slightly below. That neighborhood is still dangerous.
Yes.
Everything down to about the Steelers.
Right.
The
That's still,
Buccaneers,
yeah.
Jags, Raiders, Browns,
No.
Cardinals,
No.
Giants, Falcons, Jets, Bengals.
I say no.
Washington and Dolphins.
I say no.
No, that's what I'm saying. So you pretty much know what the deal
Right.
is with the
I'm not
teams.
saying they stink. I'm not saying they're never going to win another game, but they will not rise above middle of the road.
And as we always say, the Bias Plus report, we do that on a game-by-game basis. It's never going to be 100%. I was 70-some% last week. You were like closer to 80 or something. You were an extra point above me or extra win above me. And that, so as the year moves on, the season moves on, it's going to get more and more accurate,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as these teams become who they are and become a little more consistent. But really where it shows is as you start to move toward the end part of the season, you know who the bullies on the block are.
Absolutely.
You know these guys are gonna have to fight it out.
Right.
It's this little group right here, that neighborhood.
Right.
If you want to step up in that neighborhood,
Right.
you're gonna have some problems.
And there's some good teams in that neighborhood.
There's some good teams.
I'm looking at just the top 10, and I can't stop at the top 10. I mean, we're talking about overall net points. Look at the Seahawks, the Bears, the Eagles, the Saints. These teams they all have shots.
Seahawks are my sleeper.
They
are
at
11. So when I say sleeper, that's a sleeper right there.
Right.
You might not think about them real seriously right now.
Right.
But
I mean, if the Saints are sitting at 14 and we're saying 16 is middle of the road, and you've seen the Saints, they're playing well, and Drew Brees is due to be back in a couple of weeks. That's a team I'm watching. I expect to be watching the rise.
Yeah, where they at now?
But that means somebody's got to fall. They're
14th plus 6. The Eagles are 13th plus 12. So that gives you that idea about where they.
That may be a team that we're watching fall. Somebody's got to fall for somebody to rise.
To rise, yeah. Absolutely.
If we didn't keep 17 to 32, that'd be interesting. You see some names popping in and some teams dropping out.
Now, I heard today, and I mentioned to you, I think last week, what's his name? Kareem Hunt?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Suspension's coming off.
Yeah,
we
coming
came
back. Yeah. So, the Browns, and again, some has
a little dilemma.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a dilemma, but now they would have two good runners, assuming Chubb's still healthy. And if they focus their offense correctly, on those backs, you know what I mean?
Well, they haven't been working committee. It's pretty much been Chubb's show. So now kind of deciding how you're going to do that is not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, it's going to take some work.
What a problem to have.
Yeah.
What a problem to have. Okay. Sterling Net Point Power Rankings top 5. We're going to wrap this part up. Any last things to say about that relative to
I think we're good.
Okay, we did that. Stick with us. We're going to move on to a review of last week and just take a quick look at those games. All right, and so in this segment, we're going to take a quick look back at week 6 and kind of go over it. Ben, you did pretty good last week.
I did very well. 78%, correct.
78%. Now, the net points were 71%. And that's what you call an unmanaged number. It is what it is type
right.
number. All right. So, that's why we like to follow it. That's why we like to talk about it, because there's a certain amount of accuracy there. All right. So, Ben, your boys had to play the Patriots last week. Any last words? Any final comments?
This is the thing. I was so happy to see them actually play pretty well in the first half. They hung in there. They got a couple takeaways. They were tackling. They were really making it tough for Brady. And it was a game. Going into the third quarter, it was still a game. And then the wheels kind of fell off, and I wasn't shocked that happened. But it did my heart good to see them kind of pull themselves together and really go after this team that's obviously far better than they are, and really attempt to give the home fans a show and try to pull out a win. So I was real happy about that. Saquon is coming back, y'all. Fear not.
Saquon's coming back. All right, who's up next for last week? You know, it was such a crazy week for me. Usually I try to go back and, you know, look at the all 22s and all of these, but some of the games, I just tried to focus in on Sunday because that's the day I had. Panthers, Buccaneers. So last week, Panthers, Buccaneers, Carolina was favored by 19 with a bias plus score of 19.
Yeah, I went against the bias on this one because Tampa Bay was at home, and because I had just talked so glowingly about the relationship between Bruce Arians and Jameis Winston, and that Jameis seemed to be becoming the kind of quarterback that we all hoped he would, where he could ring up a lot of touchdowns and throw these bombs and not give the ball away, and then he turns around and he throws 3 picks. So I lost that game, needless to say. Carolina took advantage. Kyle Allen's still playing well at quarterback. And
controversy.
They went into Tampa Bay and got the win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next up, Saints, Jaguars. Again, we are at Ben & Barry on football, so you know where to go for your highlights. Game 6 highlights, Saints, Jaguars. Now, what happened with that? Where's that
I
game
don't know.
at here?
I see it.
I see it. New Orleans. Only 11, bias plus of 11 in the Saints' favor.
Yeah, that was small, and Jacksonville was at home, but the Saints are playing well, so I went with them, and I won that game. Teddy Bridgewater, the ultimate game manager. Alvin Kamara didn't have a big game, but he did enough to keep the Jacksonville defense aware of the run game, and Teddy threw the ball pretty well, and they got the win. The Saints defense is playing pretty well also, so that's something to watch. But, yeah, Jacksonville I don't think is going to be much of a threat to do too much this season. They've already lost Jalen Ramsey, which is something we'll talk about later. So, yeah, good job by the Saints.
By later, he means when we do the Bias Plus report on the upcoming Week 7 slate of games. But again, we're running through just quickly last week's games. This was I believe, our intriguing game of the week.
Yes.
Now, Kansas City favored by a bias plus of 14. They were tied on net points, so that was all net points there. And I was just looking forward to the talent at quarterback. Again, obviously, you know, what you said about Deshaun working the pocket much better than what he had earlier. I still had visions, I guess, of his earlier years when I was saying he was running a little too much. You know, I don't like to see them run if they don't have to, but he's getting it done, man. When you get it done against the Chiefs, you know, even though with the Chiefs defense, you know, they're not the strongest defense. I mean, points against, where are the Chiefs? I'm starting at the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Start at the bottom, work your way up. You'll find them.
They are 21st. They've given up 144 points. But guess who their neighbors are? At one above, the Ravens. One below, the Seahawks. So, you know, that's not bad neighborhood to be in defensively, but it is a little on the lower, you know, side of the things economically there. But what you think about that game?
Well, before this game, there was a lot of talk about Deshaun versus Patrick Mahomes. Who's better? You know, guys are like, oh, Mahomes, he's on the short list of the MVP candidates, and Deshaun might get there. I don't know. He's really good, but it's funny how people start off talking about this guy versus that guy, but somehow the rest of the team kind of gets in the mix, okay? Which it is a team sport, so I guess you kind of have to do that. The problem is the Chiefs are showing a lot of chinks in their armor, you know? We kind of already knew where the Texans' chinks were, you know? So for Deshaun to go in there into Kansas City in that environment and pretty much, dare I say, outplay Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I didn't look at the statistics
The week
man
before
for man.
going into that game, he had a perfect quarterback rate.
That's right. So
And
he's on top of his
he
game.
had an interview where he blew everybody's mind when he ran down what he was
that was
saying
beautiful.
on the play.
That was so beautiful.
You know, and everybody's like, oh,
that was so beautiful.
He's so intellectual. He's so smart.
And he shut the media guys down because they'll ask questions that kind of try to put you on the spot to see if they can get you to like say something controversial or possibly get angry and lash out at them, or they're looking for stuff to write. They don't really want an answer to the question. They're looking for something to write. And all he did was straight up, technically, answer the question. They were in this. So we tried to run that. Then they switched to this. If we went here, they went there. I got to this down. We were at this position on the field. They showed me this. I knew in film study that what they were looking for, so I tried to go away from it, but it still wasn't there. And he was breaking it down. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And then he said,
Coach.
And then he dropped the mic and left.
Oh, he dropped the mic on him?
Well, I mean, he didn't physically drop the mic. He just, I think he was like, looked around like, any more questions? And everybody just was standing there going, oh.
He talked some real football to him, and they wasn't ready for real football.
Exactly.
You know? And they were looking for controversy. Now, if they wanted controversy, this is where they needed to have controversy. Because the Eagles had a linebacker who started talking smack about Kirk Cousins.
Why these no-name dudes always got something to say?
And now he's cut from the team.
Yeah.
He's gone now.
Not only did he talk junk, but he didn't do nothing in the game. You got to at least do something in the game.
Could have did a Kwiatkowski and sacked the hell out of
you have to
Kirk Cousins.
You have to actually have that ability.
I'm like on the Kwiatkowski bandwagon now. Half the people out there,
they're like, who the hell is Kwiatkowski? Yeah, we might have to go back and show that video sometime.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was controversy in this game, and the controversy was Kirk Cousins has not been playing well, at least in the passing game. And people are saying, well, don't worry about it. They're a running team anyway. They got Dalvin Cook, da-da-da. Meanwhile, Stephon Diggs and even Adam Thielen are like, yo, you got to get us the ball. So, number one, they're receivers, so they're divas and they want the ball. Yeah. Number two, they are kind of right, though. And number three, if you don't get them the ball, I don't care how good Dalvin Cook is, you lose your balance and you're going to start to lose games. So, could Kirk Cousins get it done? Against the Eagles secondary, he could. Now,
he wasn't exactly getting crushed by the Eagles front seven either.
That's right. Did they lay a hand on him? Did he get sacked?
Probably. I have to check the sacks. But Kirk Cousins, give him time. Now, number one, if anybody is comfortable playing the Eagles, it's probably Kirk Cousins. They were in the same division.
That's true.
So he probably thought he was in a team that needs to change their name uniform. But as far as he's concerned, oh yeah, I know that guy. I can drop that right over. But if you looked at the matchups, you got two wideouts, like they have.
They're good
you got matchup
players.
Issues on your defense.
Absolutely.
I hear the Eagles tried, and I don't know why they didn't, but I hear they did try to get Jalen Ramsey.
Okay, well,
I don't know why it didn't happen.
I don't either because two
Search
number ones. They
duck, was it duck, go? I was going to say I was going to say Google, but you know about duck, go?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
So anyway, that's another search engine. But long story short, check it out That's what we hear if you want to find out. And let us know why. Because, again, I didn't have time to go through and check all of that out. But long story short, Vikings took that one.
Yeah, I think the main thing you said that was absolutely right was if you give Cousins time, the type of talent that he has at wide out, he's gonna make those throws and he's gonna make those completions.
Bengals, Ravens. All right, Baltimore was favored at a bias plus score of 99, so they just ought to have taken care of it.
Yeah, that's a big number, and I had no doubt on that one. Cincinnati is really, really poor. They're poor talent-wise. They've been hit hard with injuries. They're going to be hard-pressed to win games. And I don't see them beating anybody in that division at all. So this was a no-doubter for me as far as the Ravens were concerned.
Okay. Moving right along here.
Somebody had to win this one.
The Washington team that needs to change their name against the Miami Dolphins. The Washington team that needs to change their name had a bias plus score of 62 in their favor going into this game.
And silly me, I picked the Dolphins. They were home. The Washington team just fired their coach. Adrian Peterson's showing his age. I was like, this is it. This is the one. This is the one they're going to win. Couldn't get it done. I'd have been in the 80th percentile.
It was a game, though.
It was a game.
It was a game. You know.
It was a game. It's they're tanking. I can't forget. They're tanking. They're playing dudes off of the practice squad. They're putting in guys, and the announcer's saying, this is his first game. I'm going, huh? It's like game 6.
We're recruiting out of the XFL. Guys,
they're not even doing that.
Moving right along. Seahawks, Browns, Rude Awakenings.
Good game.
Oh, man. My sleeper team. And it's like
I picked them.
They're in my division, so they're a sleeper team. So your ego says, yeah, you want them to do good, but as a division team, you're like, nah, I want you guys to lose.
Well, that's what happens when you pick a sleeper in your own division.
Yeah.
You have these thoughts, But I picked them for the. You know why I picked them?
Right.
Basically for the same reason. Let's put it this way. I went against Cleveland for the same reason that I went against the Washington team that needs to change their name. Because of the controversy and the whole Baker and the whole this and that, and we can't seem to figure out how to get the ball to Beckham and da-da-da. I'm like, oh, they're ripe for the picking.
Well, Seattle's not a team to be joking with.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Russell's going to be Russell. They had a few amazing plays,
yes.
in that game.
Yes.
And
it was quite a game, actually, to watch. It was a good game to watch.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of so.
Yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff happening. But Seattle had a bias plus 51 in their favor, bias plus 1 out on that one.
Yep.
Let's see here. Who do we have next? Yeah, this is so much fun. Cardinals. And we said last week, and I'm going to have to say it again in the upcoming session. Oh. Shame on the Falcons that you got this rookie team and they're favored in the net point rankings.
They earned that.
Arizona at 16 bias plus score in their favor.
They own that. They earned that.
Yeah,
they had the turnover differential too.
We're talking about playing a team with a veteran quarterback.
That's true, but that's where Atlanta's at
One
right
of the
now.
top receivers in the league.
That's where Atlanta's at right now. And I know quite a few Atlanta fans. You guys are not in a good place right now. Really not. And I don't see it turning around this season. You all better start studying the draft like right now. Because you got a lot of holes to fill. You got a lot of holes to fill. I picked Arizona to win this game, and I was not surprised.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. All right, here we go. I was a little scared. Just a little scared.
You was a little worried?
Just a little bit. It's the Rams. You know, you don't know what you're getting with the Rams. You know, the net points are starting to really expose them. That's the word, exposed.
That's right. And as far as I'm concerned, they were exposed a little bit the week before, and that was enough to make this a no-doubter for me to take San Francisco.
Well, the Rams are ranked 10th in scoring, so they're not exactly all the way down there. However, they are 25th on defense.
Exactly.
Here's the neighborhood. They're tied at 154 points allowed with the Browns. They are 5 points worse than the Eagles, you know. But the Seahawks and the Chiefs are also down in there at 20. And the Ravens are 20 with 140. Just below the Rams are the Bengals defensively, and then the Giants. So that's your neighborhood right there. You know, we're looking at that 150, 160 points allowed so far through 6 games, you know. So that's, they turned around. They had we're going to just talk about the trade real quick.
Fine.
You might have more on it than I do.
I really don't have a lot on it. I kind of saw it and I went, ooh.
So let's
Rams,
just say what happened first. First of all, the Rams traded away their linebacker. Oh, no, their cornerback and got a linebacker.
Right. Then they gave the linebacker to the Jaguars.
As part of that trade.
As part of the deal for
Ramsey,
Ramsey, along with 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, I think, in the previous year, like 2021 or something. So I don't know. We all knew it was going to take 2 first-rounders plus to get the job done. Obviously, although the team was talking about we want him to stay, we want him to play, they kept the negotiation part of what they were trying to do with these other teams on the low. It wasn't, we kind of knew teams would be calling them and making offers to try to get him, but it wasn't like constantly in the news. So they did that part of it well. And when they got something that they liked from a team that they liked, because I'm sure more than one team offered them 2 number 1s, but they got what they liked from a team that they like, which is a team that's not in the AFC, it's in the NFC on the opposite coast. They made the deal. Boom.
Now, this is what's interesting. Jalen is known to be able to cover. He's like, he can one-on-one anywhere, he can cover anybody, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
However, he just went into a division where his top contenders right now are teams that run the ball heavily.
Yes.
How is he against the run?
I've seen him tackle. He's not scared. He's not.
He'll come up and really provide some run support.
Yeah, he's not shy.
He's going to have to in this division.
Yeah, he's not shy.
If he,
the good thing for him is who's the best wideouts in his division.
We don't have great wideouts in his division.
Exactly.
You know.
So his job, I don't want to say it's going to be easy, but he will not be super challenged week after week after week like he would be in some other divisions.
Well, you know, the interest, again, you know, it's the ultimate
team game. The receivers in his division are on his team.
The ultimate team game means that, yeah, he might be far superior. But if there's a weakness in the defense, teams will simply isolate him away and go where they need to go, especially if he's playing man, you know. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see what the Rams, you know, can do with them. And Rams also have some other injury issues. So
he's not the be all.
The Dyke or the is still leaking.
Yeah, I mean, it makes them better, but it's not going to save them. It's not going to save them.
Not going to save them.
They got issues stopping the run, just like you said.
Like, look, even with Aaron Donald right there in the middle, taking up two people. So if you, that's what I'm saying. If you can run on Aaron Donald and the Rams, then you can throw on Jalen. You know, you just might have to be careful doing it.
Well,
yeah, you know?
That's a little bit different.
Okay, we shall see.
If I put him on him ain't gonna catch a lot of balls.
That's true. But if I got Kittle, I don't care if he's not catching.
Oh no, absolutely.
I'm killing it over here.
Absolutely.
I'm killing it.
No, absolutely. Why would I go at the best guy?
Right. I'll run you some, or I'll simply run certain types of very safe little and just get my little 5 yards or whatever. We shall see how that works out. Cowboys, Jets. Now this is one where we didn't call this one. The net point rankings was going with Dallas, right?
97. Well, 103, and then the Jets had the bias.
Yes.
Had the turnover, excuse me.
The turnovers in their favor. So, yeah, bias plus score of 97. That's pretty heavy in favor of Dallas. And they go in there. And we knew, or at least I did mention that, you know, with the Jets coming back, how different would they look as a team with their starting.
With Sam Darnold coming back.
Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned it, and I basically laughed. And my bad. They look good. They actually look like pretty good. So now we can't say all of a sudden, people are trying to say, I've heard people trying to say that the Cowboys didn't play anybody the first 3 games. So now we're seeing who the Cowboys really are. And they're really not good. Like they're saying like they're not a good team. I disagree with that. I think they are a good team. I think they're just the competition level's going up and they're struggling a little bit.
Well, they had the Miami Dolphins skew going against them. They played the Dolphins. They got their
but they
numbers
also
look good. You know,
they played the Giants early when they still had Eli.
Right, exactly.
And I forget who the other game was, but it was obvious that they weren't top
you can't
flight
say they're
teams.
Not a good team. They're
no, you
ranked
can't
5th
say that.
in net points.
That's my point.
39. Okay, again, relative to number 2, for example, my Niners, whose net points are plus 83.
Right. So you see the disparity.
That disparity.
Okay, but that still doesn't mean they're not a good team.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The neighborhood that they're in. Number 4 was the Ravens. Number 6 is the Panthers. Number 7 is the Texans. They're higher than the Panthers, Texans, Chiefs, Packers, Bills.
Right.
So they still have some quality. But we did mention last week, I said, everybody worry about Dak. They need to worry about that run defense because what I saw from the Packers, when they got in the red zone, they didn't have to throw the ball. That's right. That's where we talked about the coaches. The coach see something there, right? Because they were very effective against the Cowboys, and you kind of don't expect it. You think their linebackers are fast, to the ball, pretty smart. That was a bit of a surprise. So something's going on there as far as the Cowboys are concerned.
Yeah, well, they better fix it quick because the schedule gets nothing but tougher for them now.
Cowboys, in terms of points, 4 are 9th, okay? They are right below the Eagles. Eagles are at 161. Cowboys are at 153. They're right above the Rams. Well, no, they're tied with the Rams at 153, as a matter of fact. Cowboys 8th and points against. So, again, not bad company. They're 1 above the Packers, one of your defenses that you really like.
Yes.
Okay. We don't know how much of the Miami Dolphins skew is involved with that. However, they are 24th in turnover differential. They're down there.
That's not good for supposed good defense.
Here's your -3 turnover differential neighborhood. Bills, Cowboys, and Rams. So
so only one of those teams is in the upper echelon as far as points against. So if you don't get turnovers, but you keep teams out of the end zone, you can still be a good defense. If you can't keep teams out of the end zone and you can't get turnovers, then you're not a good defense.
Titans, Broncos. I believe this is another one. We had
Oh,
bias plus was Tennessee favored by a bias plus of 48.
yeah. I think I got this one. I took Denver.
And I think that's probably the difference.
Yeah.
That's probably it right
Tennessee
there.
just does not impress me. In fact, I don't even like to watch their games. I don't know what it is.
You don't like
Their games are boring. And they're still high in points against, aren't they?
Oh yeah, the Titans.
Their games are boring. Like offensively, they are so vanilla.
All right, let me see here. No. I always have a problem. I mix them up with the Texans.
Nah, Titans. Yeah,
The Titans are 26 in scoring.
Right, but in points against, they're number 5.
That's true.
Because the games are boring. They can't. They look pathetic on offense, and the defense doesn't really beat you up, but they keep you out of the end zone somehow. It is very difficult to score on them.
Kind of like the neighborhood that they're in net points wise. They're tied with net points with the Saints.
There you go.
+6.
But the Saints have an offense. That's the difference. They have no offense.
Right.
I hate the Tennessee Titans.
The Saints defense are Where's the Saints defense at? Because everybody's talking.
They're on the rise. Things. They might not be there 16.
Okay.
But they're not. But they're on the rise.
They better be.
They're coming up.
All right. Who's up next? Moving right along here. All right.
Okay. This one. They fooled me on this one.
Chargers.
This one got me.
Chargers.
Right now, I feel bad for the Chargers coach. Like he's giving these Mike Tomlin speeches like, you know what's wrong, and we have to fix it. We have to be accountable, blah, 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 blah. And, dude, what are y'all doing? They make the Steelers look way better than they are. Not saying the Steelers stink. I like the Steelers defense. They got a lot of young guys. They fly around. They tackle, blah, blah. But they got a third-string quarterback.
Backups beating the starters again.
Come on, man.
That's what I was saying. Well, rookie.
Come on, man.
One case it was a rookie with Atlanta and the Cardinals. But
yeah, come on.
Backups are beating starters.
Y'all got to do better than that, man.
It's going to be a change.
Phillip Rivers didn't look good.
Quarterbacks.
I don't know what to say about the Chargers. I really don't. But I didn't like the way they played, and I had picked them to win. And I mean, good for Pittsburgh, but I don't know what to say about the Chargers. I really don't, man.
Well,
I know what to say about these two teams, though.
Let's go to the game that closed out the week, the controversy. It's why I said I kind of feel for the Lions a little bit.
Yeah.
Lions, Green Bay was favored. So as far as net points were concerned, this worked out.
Yep.
By a bias plus score of 29. And they were favored both on net points and on turnover differential. The Lions have just given teams a hard way to go.
Yes.
But the results of that relative to the Lions,
17 overall.
17 in net points.
They're hanging
at +1.
They're hanging right around the middle. That means they need to be watched.
Chargers are right above them. You don't know what to say about the Chargers. Titans are right above that, and the Saints, as we said, at 14th and 15th. Right below the Lions, you got the Broncos, and then you got your Rams and your Colts. So it's not a bad neighborhood.
No, they're in a good neighborhood. Things are going to be going back and forth like this in this neighborhood. A couple teams are going to go here, ooh, ooh. Some teams are going to go ooh, ooh, like that, and it's going to move around. And then out of that bunch, say 3 above and 3 below the 16th ranked team, 1 is going to plummet, and 1 is really going to rise, possibly 2. So we'll see.
The Packers, man, it wouldn't have. That was a close game. So the Packers, even if they had lost, the net point difference would have been small and everything. But they really kind of got a nice break because, I mean, the ability to get that one call at the end of the game, which allowed them to extend their drive, kill the clock, you know, so masterfully that the running back runs up to the goal line and then takes a slide.
Right. So it's not to score too soon and have to give them the
ball back to these guys.
Exactly.
You're going to go ahead and you are going to kick a field goal from like the 16-yard line, or 7, maybe, you know, he stopped at about the 3 at 17, so the 20-yard line or something like that. Something that's right in the middle, very makeable. That was pretty much fait accompli with that. But I kind of felt for the Lions. But you know something? When I watched the hold or the hands to the face phantom call, well, it wasn't hands to the face. The defender had the guy up like this. And he was pushing him back, and the guy's head was coming back. And I'm wondering, okay, they looked at that. They reviewed that play, and they still called it a penalty.
I think they said it's not a reviewable.
I thought they
can't change. They may have looked at it. They may have looked at it, but they can't.
They couldn't change it.
It wasn't a changeable.
Really?
Yeah. When they say stuff is reviewable and not reviewable, it's reviewable with the chance of changing it. And I believe I heard that was not a reviewable thing.
Oh man, that was crazy. So they're gonna have to look at that, because other than that, if that's going to be the rule, you know, then you might want to, you know, put red up here at the shoulders. You can't grab them there either. You can't.
It happened twice.
Can't get
with
close
the same guy, and he missed it both times.
Yeah, and then from what I understand, he's been doing this for years. Like, this is a
pattern. He's like, that's part of my.
And he's never
been right in here
before.
And
Oh yeah. So very interesting. But the Packers got away with that one.
They got away with a PI too.
Yeah.
That the other team could have challenged, but decided not to.
Right.
You know, sometimes these coaches get a little worried, like, if I challenge this and I don't get it. And PIs is really scary because they're not overturning them. They're not changing them.
That's the other part. You know, it's like if you
guys are getting mugged and the refs are going, calls the same.
Yeah, if the probability is low, then you know you don't want to take that chance.
I don't care what anybody says. I believe that the league is directing the refs to try their best not to overturn these calls.
Really?
Or if they don't call pass interference, to go back and say, oh yeah, it is.
Well, you know, it's having a negative impact on the league, I do believe. Penalties.
Yeah, the fans hate it.
The fans are not liking it. The fans are seeing this. I mean, if you got a 70-inch screen, you're seeing it super high def. The hand is as big as, you know, and they're like, that hand didn't touch his face, you know? Or his arm was all across his body. I can clearly see. His arms are across the guy's body. The ball's right there. So obviously that's interference, but, you know, so. And again, we talked about the safety issue. So there's so much, like, you can't even. We talked about the one penalty where the guy kind of crawled at the quarterback.
Yeah.
And he grabbed him around the ankles.
Yeah.
And it was like, below the ankles. Once one was like, geez,
yeah. You know? No, but the problem was it was Daniel Jones and it wasn't Tom Brady. If it was Tom Brady,
okay,
they'd still be blowing that whistle. Kidding me.
All right.
It's his rule. They should call it the Brady rule.
Brady rule. Could be. All right. Any last words on the review?
No. Just that I did really well, and I hope to do well again.
All right. Stick with us. Ben and Barry on football. Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. Coming up, the Bias Plus Report for Week 7.
Also known as the Matchup Show.